This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring to you a discussion on Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, various aspects of the scheme. The participants are Vijay Kranti, senior journalist, and Anubha Rohatgi, anchor.
The Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana PM Awas is a central government scheme that aims to provide housing to various segments of society, including weaker sections, lower income groups, urban poor and rural poor. To discuss the various aspects of this scheme, I am now joined by senior journalist Vijay Kranti. Mr. Kranti, India aims to become a developed nation by the year 2047, and an important indicator of development is housing for all. The Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana will be crucial in achieving this goal. What are the major features of the scheme?
The basic target of this scheme, as announced by the Prime Minister in 2015, that he wants to ensure that every Indian family should have a pakka house to live in, and the house should have minimum basic amenities like the toilet, water, electricity, and some moving space. So with this target, this plan has been given a new dimension, although this plan has been already running since 1985. But the plan has got a new velocity as well as a new dimension in 2015 with this purpose that everybody gets a house, a roof over their head.
Now, this scheme, like so many other government initiatives, is aimed at the common man, but we've often seen that the target group remains largely unaware of them. So, what is the eligibility criteria for the PMAY and how can a person apply for it? And equally important, what are the agencies and organizations that can help people find details?
The criteria to be eligible for this, to get either loan or free housing, is that there are a few criteria which I will state. One is that the person should be of minimum age 70, so that the scope of relationship between the family and the state is ensured. And another term is that to ensure that wrong people should not take away the benefits which are meant for the poor people, is that no member of the family should have a house or a plot or an apartment. They should not have ownership. And another is that the ownership will be given only to the woman of the family. Only in those families where they don't have, unfortunately, the woman member, only in that case, the man will be given ownership, or it will be the joint ownership. Other is the income level of the families. Income level for this is very dynamic, very interesting, which shows that how India is moving. The maximum income limit in this whole scheme goes up to 18 lakh rupees per year for the family, which is a very reasonably good and middle income group level, which shows that the government is not only focused at extremely poor people, it is also focused at those families who need a house and who don't have enough resources, but they have reasonable ways of living. So which means it is targeting a very, very wide section of the society. There are 4 categories. The EWS, which is economic weaker section, those families who have less than 3 lakh rupees income per year. Then the next group is 3 lakh to 6 lakh rupees. And third group is 6 lakh to 12 lakh rupees per year. And the fourth, those families who have income of 12 to 18 lakh rupees per year, they are also eligible for getting benefits of this scheme. And that proves that the government is really serious about providing house to all those who need. And that also shows that the level of prosperity, dimensions and concept of poverty is changing, and the bottom line is going reasonably up.
You've just mentioned a very interesting fact that the aim of the scheme is not just to provide housing for the poor, be it in the rural or the urban areas. It is also, targeting class which we can, for, want of a better word, we can call aspirational section of the society. And the other important and interesting fact is that the ownership of the houses is going to be mostly in the name of either female members or in joint name. So clearly the aim here is also women empowerment, as well as targeting the aspirational section of the society which wants to, move forward, which wants to progress.
Yes, that is the beauty of it, and it reflects the changing aspirations of the Indian citizens. You remember those days when poor meant extremely poor, and the middle class or those who were, what you term rightly used, the aspirational section of the society, they were hardly a focus of government's policies or government support. So now this support base is expanding, which is clearly reflected from the fact that families who have income up to 18 lakh rupees per year are also eligible for it. That speaks a lot about the changing India.
A program like the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, while aiming to provide housing for all, which is the government's aim that by 2023 or 2024, everybody in country should have a roof over their head. That is not just the only aim, it also provides an avenue of employment for 2 lakhs of people.
You're right, because housing is an activity which has cascading effect on other activities. For example, if you are building a house, you are going to need labor. You are going to need cement, you are going to need bricks, you are going to need steel, and you are going to need skilled workers who will work as electricians, as plumbers to fix those facilities in your house. So which means when you are aiming to construct almost 3 crore houses in this country, then you will need this force in a very, very big way, which was not already existing. So which means new employment opportunities for those people who are capable of this, doing these, handling these jobs or selling or producing these products. So which means this is an activity housing is an activity which promotes economy at a multi-dimensional level and increases the number of or the scope of employment's availability. So we should look at it from that angle also.
Coming to some of the numbers, in the budget 2023, the government increased the outlay for PM Awas by 66%, allocating over 79,000 crore rupees to further support the housing scheme. Now, what are the challenges in the successful implementation of such an ambitious scheme?
There are 2 challenges. One is population as well as the number of people and families who need housing or a reasonably good housing. That is a dynamic term. That is not static. The number of such people is continuously increasing because of, number one, increasing population. And second is because of continuous change in the level of prosperity of the society, continuous in number of people moving up from BPL level, totally poor level, to better levels. And those who were already in lower middle class are going to upper middle class. So that shows that the challenge before government is more than providing housing, because in this case we see government is providing housing support to those families who, when they are constructing house, they cannot purely do it on their own resources, and there is a government support element there. That is why we see there was a need for the government to increase the budget for this project. One thing, when it started in 2015, the level of prices of materials needed for housing was at one level. And over the time, the prices are going up. So government had to accommodate that change also, and needs of the aspirational society also. So all these were good enough reasons to increase the allocation.
Now, when we talk of urban housing specifically, an important group that often gets overlooked are the migrant workers and the urban poor. Now, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has initiated the Affordable Rental Housing Complexes, or ARHCs, as a sub-scheme of the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. How significant is the scheme to address the needs of this section of urban dwellers?
I think it's a very important element in a society where the movement of families and people from rural areas to urban areas is quite significant. And when people living in a village, because they have got education, because they have new skills, because they have new needs, when they move to cities, they are those people who might have already their own house in the village, but there are not still enough of employment opportunities, or there are better opportunities in the cities. When they are moving, we cannot expect them to go there and buy another house or own another house. So they are the people who need a rented accommodation. And to provide people a clean and good accommodation at reasonable prices, that makes the government succeeds in that. It is fulfilling that duty of providing housing and a good housing. So I think this is the reason.
In this, as with other central government schemes, state governments also play a very important role in implementation. So, how important is the center-state coordination for the success of these schemes?
This is very interesting question from the point of view that people are talking about the concept has emerged over recent years, double engine ki sarkar, that a state which has same party ruling, which is ruling in the center. There is no doubt it makes the job of the rulings that state government easier compared to other states. But that is not the only element. It is the desire of the state government also, irrespective of which party is ruling it. When center is very keen to provide housing to everybody, then states which are ruled by other parties other than the ruling party in the center, they are also aspirational. The party who is ruling that state is also aspirational. They want to emerge as a delivering party. So it is in their interest that this scheme becomes successful and people living in their state also get full benefit of this scheme. So I find that as far as housing, this plan is concerned, the idea Prime Minister has given that every person should have a decent roof on his or her head. This is where the interest of all parties are collective. So I see that this is a plan which somewhere joins also the central ruling party and the state governments.
Talking about the wider context, as we just spoke about the center-state coordination, another important aspect is that while the government is the primary agency for initiating and implementation of various schemes, there has also been an increasing emphasis on encouraging public-private partnership as well, which is also one of the features of this particular scheme, which is the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So how important is it to encourage such kind of a partnership for successful implementation?
One thing we have realized by now, that government alone cannot do everything. Government can provide facilities, can create an ecosystem which is suitable for implementing the plans it has. But when it comes to implementing the financial resources for that, I don't think we should expect that for everything the only government is going to provide. So the private sector who are looking for new projects and new activities to join at commercial levels, they are also very, very keen. So in the new ecosystem which we are seeing today, the private business, private industry has equal stakes in all those projects which are government run or government sponsored. So when we see private partnership in these projects, I think that is a very natural phenomenon.
The PM Awas is one of the flagship programs of the Modi government, which is integral to the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, launched last month by Prime Minister. Now, we also discussed how many times the eligible people are not aware of the government programs. In this context, how important according to you is the role of a program like the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra at reaching out to citizens who are eligible for various central government schemes but have not benefited so far?
This kind of Sankalp Yatra becomes necessary when the entire system which was supposed to do it, whether at the awareness level of individuals, their eagerness to know what are the policies of the government. Even political parties, irrespective of whether they are in power or they are in opposition, we have somewhere been lacking. Those stakeholders like political parties, social organizations have not been coming that much forward to educate people that they should take benefit of what is being provided by the government. If political parties think that it's a political issue and the ruling party will take advantage, I think they need more maturity to understand that if they are playing a role in letting people understand that these are your rights, the government is providing you facilities for housing, you should go ahead and take. I think people will come closer to those parties and will benefit from their exercise, and the political benefit will go to those political parties and organizations who are not in ruling party but are aspirational that they should be seen as friends of society. So to me it appears all this was a job of everybody, every stakeholder. If it is being done by government, I think they are somewhere filling that gap which was missing.
Mr. Vijay Kranti, thank you so much for joining us in the program.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, various aspects of the scheme. The participants were Vijay Kranti, senior journalist, and Anubha Rohatgi, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR.